Okay, guys, recently we've been talking about multiplying polynomials. Now, these are two binomials when multiplied, and we just use the distributive property to do this. We get 8x squared plus 10x minus 3. Now, what we talked about in class today was how do we take this trinomial right here, 8x squared plus 10x minus 3, and turn it into these two binomials that we get, these two factors. And essentially, distributive property lets us go forwards, and what we're going to look into this video is how we get backwards, how we factor it to get it back into these terms. So you can pause the video right now if you'd like to do this problem with me. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 8 and this negative 3, the first term that's attached to the 8x squared, and then the last one, the negative 3, and multiply them together. 8 times negative 3 is negative 24. And from this point, we're going to go to our calculators to help us find the factor pairs. And so for negative 24, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in negative 24 divided by 1. And so my first factor pair is 1 and negative 24. So then I'm going to go negative 24 divided by 2. I get 2 and negative 12. Negative 24 divided by 3. 3 and negative 8, and negative 24 divided by 4, I get negative 6. Now 5 will give me a decimal, so I don't want to use it. And then 6, I've already got a 6, so I don't need it again. Now where I'm going to go from here is back to this. I'm going to write those factor pairs out. 1, negative 24, 2, negative 12, 3, negative 8, and then finally I've got 4 and negative 6. Now, the key, if I look back on my last screen, the key is that I need to rewrite this 10x in terms of negative 2x and positive 12x. But we wouldn't know that yet, so I got to rewrite this 10x. And how I do that is I'm going to look at these problems and I see that I have 1 and negative 24. Well, when I add those two together, 1 plus negative 24, I get negative 23. 2 minus 12 is negative 10. 3 minus 8 is negative 5. And 4 minus 6 is negative 2. Now, obviously, these three are not the answer. But what I notice is this one looks interesting to me because I get negative 10. But what I want it to be is positive 10. I can do that by changing this negative 10 to a positive 10. But if I change this sign, I got to change this sign and this one. So I'm going to rewrite this problem as 8x squared minus 2x plus 12x, and then bring down my minus 3. If you've noticed, all I've done is negative 2x plus 12x still gives me 10x. So I have not, these are the exact same problems still. Now, I'm going to group the 8x squared and the negative 2x, and I'm also going to group the positive 12x and minus 3. Now today we also talked about the greatest common factor. Now the greatest common factor between 8 and negative 2 is 2, and x squared and x. I got to figure out a common factor between those two, and the only thing they have in common is x. So I go over here and I look and I say, okay, what do 12, positive 12, and negative 3 have in common? Well, positive 12 and 3 have a 3 in common. Now, do you notice that they do not have an x in common with one another? I just have a 2x and a positive 3. Now, we talked a little bit about a shortcut that I could do. Now, my final answer is definitely going to have a 2x plus 3 in it. And my other factor, I have to figure out by dividing these out. Okay? And how I do that is 8 divided by 2 is 4. X squared divided by x is just x. And negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. And look here, the x divided by x, they just cancel out. Okay? They're just 1, so they don't affect what goes down here at all. Now, we know that this is my answer right here. And if we look back on the previous problem, that's what we started with, 2x plus 3, 4x minus 1. And I get that again. So I'm practically done. I would want to check something first. To know that this is what goes in here, I have to divide out the 3 over here, and it will equal the same thing. So 12x divided by 3 is 4x. Negative 3 divided by 3 is also negative 1. So I know that I'm correct. Now I showed you guys today a little bit longer. This is my final answer. You would not need any more than that. But you could say 2x parentheses 4x minus 1. Okay, I just divided 8x squared divided by 2x, negative 2x divided by 2x. Bring out the plus 3. I get that from over here. And I have 12x divided by 3 is 4x. Negative 3 divided by 3 is negative 1. And if you notice, I can factor out this 4x minus 1, put it down here, and then I'm left with 2x plus 3. Now this step right here is not necessary. This step right here is not necessary to come up with my final answer. I showed you a little bit of a shortcut right here, and that's how I'm going to do the remainder of the problems, is with our little shortcut. You can pause this, go back to the beginning if you want to look at this problem done again. Now just a reminder, if you want to check this problem to make sure it equals what I originally had, all you have to do is multiply these two factors, or these two binomials. Just multiply them out, and what you should get is our original answer. Now I'm going to move to another problem, 10x squared minus 17x plus 3. I am not going to do this problem any different. I'm going to take the first term and the last one there, 10 times 3 is 30. Those are the factor pairs that I need to come up with. And I can divide that out in my calculator. Now notice something, these are positive numbers. So I have positive 1, positive 30. 30 divided by 2 is 15. 30 divided by 3 is 10. 30 divided by 4, it gives us a decimal answer, so we don't want to write it. 30 divided by 5 is 6. And if you throw in 6 in there, I've already got a 6 and a 5, so I don't need to go any more. Now, this problem is a little bit different from the last because both of these answers are positive. So I got a positive 1 plus 30 gives me 31. 2 plus 15 is 17. 3 plus 10 is 13. 5 plus 6 is 11. Now, how I came up with these numbers, since they're both positive, I could just add them. Now, if you notice something, I obviously don't want that one, obviously don't want that one. Now, negative 17 and 17, like you notice that there's probably a connection there. And there is a way that I can rewrite this negative 17x. But if I'm going to change this positive 17 to a negative 17, I have to change the signs of the other two numbers. We noticed that in the last problem. Now, what I end up getting is 10x squared still. And I can rewrite this negative 17x as a negative 2x and a negative 15x. And I still bring down that plus 3. Now, just like we did in the last problem, I'm going to group and group. Come up with a greatest common factor between these two, 10 and 2. I'll just do 2 again, goes into both of those. X squared and x, they both have an x in common. Now, over here on this one's a little bit tricky. Now, you notice 3 and 15, the number that goes into both 3 and 15 is 3. 3 goes into 3, 3 also goes into 15. But because of this first term, notice it's negative. We don't want it to be negative, so we got to make this number down here negative. That's the only kind of weird thing about this problem. My final answer will be 2x minus 3. If you want to know where I got those are the greatest common factors from each of these two binomials. And to figure out what this other binomial is, I say, okay, 10 divided by 2 is 5. X squared divided by x is x. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. And notice that the x is just canceled there. So I get 5x minus 1. To confirm whether or not this is the right answer, first of all, I got to go negative 15 divided by negative 3, positive 5. And I still have an x. 3 divided by negative 3 is negative 1. So that's good. And if you wanted to double check your final answer, what you could do is, if I want to see if it's equal to 10x squared minus 17x plus 3, I'm going to take this problem and I'm going to say, okay, that's 10x squared. That's negative 2x. Negative 15x. Negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. Combine my like terms, negative 17x. Bring down the plus 3. bring down the 10x squared. This is what I originally started with. So this is the correct answer. Now if you like doing it the way that I did before, you can fast forward through this part if you like this shortcut. If you do not like this shortcut, you can divide out that 2x, and what you get is 10 divided by 2 is 5, x squared over x minus 1. Bring down your minus 3, and you should get the same thing. 5x, negative 15 divided by negative 3, 5. Okay, x, and then 3 divided by negative 3 is negative 1. And that's where I get my 2x minus 3 and my 5x minus 1. Now, if you would like to review these two problems, you can rewind at any point. Our final problem is 3x squared minus 4x minus 15. If you'd like to try this one on your own, you can pause and then you can press play to see if you got it right. First thing I'm going to do is 3 times negative 15 is negative 45. I'm going to come up with all my factor pairs, and if you need a reminder of how to do that, remember I go negative 45 divided by 1, negative 45 divided by 2, that's a decimal, I don't like it, negative 45 divided by 3, and I can go on so on and so forth. And so I'm going to help you out. I got 1, negative 45. The next factor pair is 3 and negative 15. My next factor pair is 5 and negative 9. 6 does not go into negative 45. 7 does not go into negative 45, and nor does 8. The next number that goes into negative 45 is 9, and I've already got a 9, so I'm not going to worry about it. Next thing I do is 1 minus 45 is negative 44, 3 minus 15 is negative 12, and 5 minus 9 is negative 4. I don't like those. What I need to do is go ahead and say, okay, this negative 4 matches up, so I'm going to rewrite this negative 4x as positive 5x and negative 9x. Minus 15 and 3x squared. I'm going to group these items, and here's what I got. What goes into 3 and 5? Well, the only number that goes into 3 and 5 is a 1. X squared and x, the common factor is x. Alright, if you want to know what goes into negative 9 and 15, well, 9 goes into 9, but it doesn't go into 15. 3 goes into both of those numbers. But notice, if this is negative, remember if that first term is negative, I've got to factor out a negative 3. So my final answer will be 1x minus 3. And I'm going to figure out what my other factor is by 3 divided by 1 is 3. X squared divided by x is x. 5 divided by 1 is positive 5. And x divided by x it cancels out, so it won't be a factor. Just to double check, negative 9 divided by negative 3 is positive 3. That's good. And negative 15 divided by negative 3 is positive 5. So I'm good. And if you wanted to check your final answer, you could distribute to check. I will not do that on this problem, but you could distribute to double check to make sure you get your original problem. What I found is 2 factors that multiply to give me my original answer. If you wanted to see me do the long way, it would be 1x, and I get 3x plus 5, okay, and I would bring out the negative 3, and I'd also divide that out and get 3x plus 5. And then I get my 1x minus 3 and my 3x plus 5. If you need to go back to the beginning of this to view the video, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, that is it. Give these a try on your own. Watch these videos a couple times. This is what we'll be doing